Good Saturday afternoon. It's another day of canvassing. I was canvassing for a few hours, but I decided to break it up with a little intermission. I went and early voted today, and it was a good thing to get out and vote early. That way you sort of get it out of the way, and a lot of the decision is already made, and you kind of take the pressure off November 8th. So I'm out early voting today at Stratford Mall, and Stratford Mall is a place I've frequented over the years. Growing up in the area, in the DuPage area, Glendale Heights, Roselle, um, Carroll Stream, that sort of general area growing up. So, I had a lot of experience with Stratford Square Mall growing up as a kid, going to the mall. Malls were a big thing in the 90s and in the 80s. But the community was different than where we had, a real conservative kind of right wing sort of presence in this area. But a lot of it has changed. And I noticed that it was like kind of a full circle moment when I was in there early voting. You sometimes you look up the field. I got to look up the field today, and I saw lots of diversity inside that polling place. I saw, people of, Indian origin from India, Indian origin, African Americans, all there. A lot of Hispanics or Latinos that frequent Stratford Square Mall. So, you saw that. You saw that, this place that once wasn't really welcoming, getting racially profiled there as a kid, is now pretty much it's your home. It's a different feel. One of the occasions, I was profiled there, I almost lost my life that night. I was working at Olive Gardens, which is off of Army Trail, if you guys know the area, and I needed to get to Schick, where I lived at the time. And I kind of was going along. I picked up some extra hours. So I went into work, and my parents, sort of were out. So I, picked up the hours, and I'm cutting through the mall at 9 o'clock at night, 8:30 at night, and I had actually the entire mall security, very overzealous, were running at me one night when I was cutting through the mall. They had mistaken this was their cover story that I had written a bad check. And I was wearing the same jacket as the perpetrator that they were looking for. So as I cut through the mall and I'm in the parking lot, I was being chased unknowingly. I didn't know there were 20 security guards behind me, baseball bats, all type of stuff, just ready to just run up on me and take vigilante justice on a made-up charge. But a couple came out of nowhere, African American couple, and they pretended to purportedly be my parents, and they stopped them. They said, "No, he's coming from wherever." They made a cover story up for me. And then enough time for me to tell my story that I was coming from Olive Garden, and showed them my day planner, which they thought was the item that was stolen with a fake check, which was total BS. As you know, checks back then in the 90s, when you wrote a check, you had to submit multiple forms of identification. Checks cleared on a 2-day process. So when they were catching people writing bad checks, these were repeat offenders as they got their description. So this was the quick cover story they made up. So, what happened to Trayvon Martin, what happened to Freddie Gray, what happened to, Sterling, Lando Castillo. I look at those cases and I go, wow, I've had my nights, plenty other nights simply like that, where, I could have been a hashtag before Twitter even existed, where, you're beaten and killed. But, I don't tell you the story to bring you down. I tell you the story to bring you up. Seeing the different outcomes, how things have changed. In the same spot where I was profiled and almost killed that night, I was able to go and vote. I was able to have people cast votes for me. I ran for county board in 2012. So in that same spot, this growing diversity in the community has casted votes for me. Put me into the Roselle Library. I'm running for, village trustee. So I look at, the changes, and I was floored, thinking about this, these stories, we all share. And one guy, he wrote a story about, how he was profiled and made a paper out of Naperville or something, and, got viral earlier this year. And I thought about it, how the stories we share, the suburbs, the changing face of the suburbs, and, being a part of that, fighting for things out here, like, the PACE bus system in DuPage, fighting against the youth home going to Kane County, against privatization, many things I fought against. The hate crimes that have taken place. Stood in sat in the court as an advocate for people who, experienced hate crimes. Hate crimes is a big thing in the suburbs, a growing face. As it gets more diverse, there's a backlash. So I'd like to share that with you. A lot of, positive things happen today where, hey, the face of things are changing, but we got to keep, pushing forward, forging forward. But the numbers are there. And I was really encouraged when I looked around, seeing that, hey, we're here and we're looking to take authorship over our communities. Have a good day.